Hello and thank you so much for tuning in. So in today's video, I'm going to be putting on my makeup while pretty unenthusiastically talking about Ulta 21 Days of Beauty. I will be putting on some products that are going to be in the sale, but not very many because it didn't really stand out to me, and that's kind of the reason why I wanted to talk about it. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the Bobbi Brown Vitamin Enriched Face Base. As my primer. This is going to be featured in the sale, and I think it's like the last day of the sale. And like I said, this is me unenthusiastically talking about it, and definitely not a professional recommendation video because I'm uploading this well into the sale. But I do know that the things that I'm talking about are going to be on sale like after I've published this video. So this is one of the things that's like at the very, very tail end of the sale. And this is a product that I do like, and I will say that it stood out to me among pretty much everything else because it's, it's a more expensive product. You don't see it on sale super often. Some department stores used to do a deal where you could get the face base, you could get two of them for the price of one, or you could get the face base and a Bobbi Brown foundation for just the price of the face base, which is actually how I ended up with this one a couple of years ago actually, which to my next point, this is a product that lasts a really long time. You get 1.7 ounces of product, so there's quite a bit in there. I will say that. And granted, there were times where I wasn't really using it because primer is one of those things that I notoriously just forget to use, and honestly, I'm generally not too much a fan of. But I do like this one because it's kind of like a very emollient moisturizer. That kind of has this like grip to it. So I feel like a lot of what you put on top of it just looks better and like sticks to it better, adheres to it better. While at the same time, this does feel nice and moisturizing on the skin. So this is how much of it I have left. I don't know if you can tell, but I've not even made it to the bottom of the jar yet. And I haven't, for the very least, been using it pretty consistently for like the past like year and a half. And there's I made a concerted effort to start using this almost every time I did my makeup, pretty much in like 2020. And I don't even know if I'm halfway through this, honestly. Sometimes I get the urge to like poke my finger in there just to like see where the bottom of the jar is, but I will maintain the mystery and intrigue and get there naturally whenever that does happen. So I will say that's the one bonus upside of it, is that it's expensive, but it's 1.7 ounces of product, so probably, and you do need very little of it, so it'll probably last you quite a long time. I will say though, if you are averse to fragrances in your products, or particularly citrus fragrance, this has a very strong citrus fragrance. I feel like not a lot of people have talked about this. For as popular as it is, you would think it would come up more often because it's a very it's not like a scent that you just don't notice. Like, it's very noticeable. So I'm surprised more people don't talk about it. It does dissipate, but again, if you're somebody who just doesn't like scents, heavy scented products, that's definitely something to keep in mind. I might just stay away from it if you're one of those people. So now that I've talked about my first recommendation, I guess I'll go ahead and just talk generally about why I'm not excited about the sale. So initially I took more of like a broad look at the sale when the sale was announced, the dates were announced, and I think, you could see what the products were, but I don't think the details had officially been announced. And I remember being very underwhelmed, kind of taking the broader overview of the sale. And after doing this kind of more general overview, I, just that first glance at everything, I was just not very impressed by what I was seeing. And I will admit that I'm somebody who has been much more into indie products or indie brands for the past few years. So Ulta 21 Days of Beauty hasn't really been interesting to me, but I feel like I've always been able to kind of take a step back and say, okay, like there's not a lot here for me, but I could see why this is still a good sale. There's still really good deals to be had. And for me personally, I think that the hallmark of a good 21 Days of Beauty sale is a mixture of some good like staple products that people re-up on and repurchase, things like liners, mascaras, brow products, and also some new and exciting things, things that are like a little bit newer to the market or hyped up, very popular, those kinds of things. Like, that is the kind of stuff that I like to see in an Ulta 21 Days of Beauty sale. Like, even if the stuff doesn't appeal to me, I'd still be able to recognize a good sale when I see one, And this time around, I didn't have that feeling. It was the most underwhelming I think I had ever felt about the sale in general. And right now, actually, I am applying The second thing that I would like, I don't necessarily know how to recommend it. Like for me personally, I think it's just an okay product, but I think that there's a certain demographic of person that would really like this. This is the MAC Studio Radiance Face and Body Foundation. And I have mine in the shade C8, which is, I don't think that this is like the best shade for me. I think that there's a better shade for me in their lineup of shades, but this is the one that I picked and it works out fine. It's kind of hard to tell. MAC's, the way that they have the shades arranged on their site doesn't make a whole lot of sense. There's some shades that look like they shouldn't fit the model that they're on, and they do, so it's weird. But if you know, assuming you can find a shade that would actually work for you, then and you want to try a foundation that's kind of lighter in coverage, easygoing, then I think you might like this. To me personally, I feel like this is a little, yes, it's face and body, so I wasn't expecting it to have a ton of coverage, but at the same time, I do feel like it's a little bit, I don't know, just a little bit underwhelming to me compared to other dewy foundations that I have that I enjoy. And this does have a dewier texture to it, or a dewier look to it overall, but it is nice. It's one of those things where it's like I put it on initially and I'm like, I don't really care for it. But then I look in the mirror later and I'm like, you know what, actually this does look pretty good. And I do powder my dewy foundations because I think that's how I get the best wear out of them. So yeah, I do like this. I don't love it, but I do see why there are people who would enjoy this formula. And I don't have a reference for, or a frame of reference for the original formula, so keep that in mind. I've heard some people say that they preferred the original formula. I wouldn't know because this is my first time trying a face and body foundation. And that's another thing too. I don't have any other frame of reference for face and body foundations, so this might not even be like the best one, but it is going to be on sale. I thought that was an interesting choice because as much as people love to begrudge MAC for not being the it brand anymore, it's still a very popular brand that people enjoy products from. And on top of that, this is, I feel like, a popular kind of foundation right now. You know, like I think it's better that they put this foundation on sale as opposed to say like Studio Fix Fluid, which is kind of more of a, you know, buildable medium to full coverage type of foundation that's got more of a demi matte finish. I think that this honestly makes a lot more sense as a product. So in any event, that's going to be on sale. So that stood out to me, even though, like I said, this is a product that for me, I'm kind of more like middling on my opinion of. I do think that it's a good product to have included in the sale. I just want to say that I remembered to do my brows off camera before coming around to my next point. So kudos to me. But my next point was that once I took a more granular look at the sale, once the full details of all of the products and all of the dates were released, I kind of had a better understanding of why I had such a bad response to it initially. And I believe it's because there's so much skincare. It might as well be called 21 Days of Skincare. Now, I didn't go in and look at the actual breakdown of what was, you know, being offered in the sale, but I just felt like it was very skincare heavy. And as somebody who, you know, I care about my skin, but I'm not a skincare enthusiast. I'm not like a skincare product enthusiast. I'm not trying out a bunch of different skincare things. You know, I think using something like 21 Days of Beauty to take advantage of a good skincare deal can be good when you need a new skincare product. You know, if you're like running out of something and, you know, Ulta just happens to have something in the sale that fits that criteria, or if you are a skincare enthusiast, I think that the sale might actually really excite you. That's why I kind of want to know people's opinions of the sale, you know. I feel like people who really enjoy trying new skincare products are going to be more enthused about the offerings than those of us who really enjoy makeup products. But I don't know, it was really weird to me. And, you know, to be fair, I didn't do like a full detail, like breakdown and like go through and count to see exactly how many skincare deals there were versus how many makeup deals there were. But it did just appear to me that there were a lot of skincare deals. Like I definitely saw days where there were like 3 skincare products and only 1 makeup product in the lineup. So that's a very skincare heavy day, obviously. And I saw a couple of days that were like that. So to me, it was just kind of weird to see that, because I just feel like in general, 21 Days of Beauty, like, is supposed to be about the makeup, you know what I mean? And when I think about Ulta even, like, I think about makeup. So it was a little bit disappointing to see so many skincare deals, especially considering the fact that Ulta already has a skincare event that they do every year called the Love Your Skin event. In fact, they just did it in January. Like that just passed. And funnily enough, I actually did pick something up from that event because I needed a new, I wanted a new cleansing balm to remove makeup, and the Vanilla Co cleansing balms were on sale. I remember trying one of those a really long time ago when I was staying over at a friend's house, and those were on sale. So I picked one up and I've been using it. I really love it, but like, that's the only thing I bought because I was like, oh, well, I need a cleansing balm. This Vanilla Co cleansing balm is on sale, and I bought it. I just don't know why after having the Love Your Skin event just this January, we're seeing 21 Days of Beauty be so skincare heavy. It's just a little bit unfortunate. You know, I will say that it seems to kind of add up with what people are saying about skincare doing better than makeup in terms of like what's bringing in the profits right now. I don't know the details on that because I've not really looked into it. I just know that it's a talking point that people have brought up, that skincare is where it's at currently. And certainly the way brands are moving definitely makes it seem that way, because there are so many, like even just makeup brands that are now going into skincare. So I personally feel like that all makes sense. Wow, really? And that all makes sense given that so many makeup brands have started skincare brands or have done skincare offshoots. So, I mean, that certainly lines up with that, but certainly as a makeup enthusiast, it's very disappointing to see that, especially for a sale that is normally, at least in my mind, supposed to be primarily about the makeup. And going back to foundation and how I think it was pretty smart for Ulta to include Face and Body as one of the foundations on sale. I noticed that Urban Decay also has a foundation that's on sale, the Hydro whatever, too long of a name to say foundation. And I will say that while I personally am not interested in picking that foundation up, I thought that that was a pretty smart inclusion on Ulta's part, again, because if I'm not mistaken, that is the latest complexion release from Urban Decay, or at least one of the latest complexion releases from them. Again, it's in that category of products that people really like in terms of complexion products right now, those sort of like dewier foundations and tinted moisturizers and whatnot. So I think as a release it makes, or as an inclusion in the sale, it makes a lot of sense. But, and you know, I actually had to sit down and wonder to myself like why I wasn't that interested in it, because again, I have been into these types of foundations lately. Like I'm even actually kind of considering maybe getting another shade of the MAC Face and Body just to see if I can find, you know, a slightly better shade of it than the one I currently have. But the reason why, after thinking about it, the Urban Decay foundation didn't stand out to me is because Urban Decay generally, while they're a brand that I at one point did really enjoy, I loved their Vice palettes, I loved the Vice lipsticks, I've never gone to them for complexion products. Even when I was buying from them more frequently, more often, I never went to them for their complexion products because they didn't have complexion products for me for quite some time. And you know, I have seen and heard that they've gotten better with like their later complexion releases, particularly like the Stay Naked line, which I believe replaced their older Naked complexion line. But in general, I feel like they just have done such a terrible job historically that they're just not really on my radar like that when it comes to complexion. And I think I just generally feel that way about a lot of brands that are in that boat. Like there was a point where, speaking of the original Naked complexion line that they had, their Naked, what was it called? The Naked concealer. That was like, you could not escape that concealer. Like people were talking about it on YouTube like all the time. It was at one point probably the most popular concealer. If you were here for Shape Tape, it was kind of that same level of fervor surrounding Urban Decay's Naked concealer. It kind of shared a spotlight with a couple of others, like the NARS Radiant Creamy, and then also for a drugstore option, Maybelline Instant Age Rewind. But I could literally only try one of those three, and that was the most expensive one, the NARS one, because NARS was the only one that came in my shade, or that came in a shade that would work for me. So that was obviously unfortunate, especially for a product that was so popular. You would think that the brand would want to have a better shade range much earlier than they did, but for a long time they didn't. And there's so much that I actually really enjoy when it comes to these dewier foundations, and there's so much that I want to try. I really love the LYS Triple Fix Serum Foundation. I really love the Salt New York Sneaky Balm Hydrating Skin Tint. Again, super long name. I'm not even sure if I said it in the right order, even though I'm pretty sure I said all the words. But I love that stuff. The Auric Glow Lust, the Danessa Max Vision Cream Cover. And that came to my mind because I want to try the Yummy Skin Serum. And I really want to try the NARS newer foundation as well. So there's like a lot out there that I want to try. So it's kind of like, I don't really want to give my energy to Urban Decay, you know, even on sale. It just doesn't really appeal to me personally. But I will say that even that all considered, I think that the foundation being on sale is a smart move. It makes sense, you know. It's a trendy kind of product from a brand that people enjoy. From what I recall seeing about that product, it seemed like it got pretty good reviews as well. So people enjoyed it. So all of that makes sense. It makes sense why that would be included in the sale. I think that was a good inclusion. But again, one of very, very few good makeup inclusions I felt that were part of the sale. The one other complexion product or foundation that I noticed that I kind of wanted to point out as being a good deal in case you were interested in it is the Oma Say What foundation. And I, again, don't even remember what day that will be on sale, but that is on sale with like a bunch of other, it's in the women-owned brands like category day that they're doing or whatever. But that foundation is one that I really enjoy. I contemplated using that in today's look, but I just feel like I kind of have more solidified thoughts on that. Whereas this MAC Face and Body Foundation, I'm a little bit more like, on, you know, so I kind of just wanted to put it on again. I have put it on the past couple of days though, because I've tried to film this video a couple of times, but we won't talk about that. But in general, you know, I feel like that's a really good foundation if you're somebody who wants like a good medium coverage, kind of buildable foundation that also looks pretty skin-like. That's the one that I would go to. The only thing is I feel like the shades aren't that great, if I'm being honest, for me personally, being somebody who has more of a golden neutral undertone. My best shade matches in that foundation are actually in their cool range. So I have 3 shades. I first had the shade T2N because that's the shade that a lot of people around my complexion were picking up, but that shade was far too warm. So I was like, maybe I really ought to go for the cool range, even though that kind of freaked me out because I was like, I don't have cool undertones. Like when I hear cool for a foundation, I think ashy. I get nervous, you know, and that range is actually still a little bit too warm. Like I think that brown sugar range, which that's the range that I'm in, that range runs very warm, but I do put my foundation references in the description box if you want to ever just see. But the 2 shades that I have that are in the cool range are that you know, work for me pretty well, T2C and T3C. And again, those are both in the brown sugar range. So yeah, I do really like that foundation. It's a fantastic foundation. And I think that's really, one other thing. Eyeshadows. Not a lot of eyeshadows I feel like either. I saw a couple things here and there, but just not a whole lot. But Nabla is going to have palettes on sale, which that didn't stand out to me as much because Nabla palettes have been featured in the sale the past several times, I want to say. So it's not all that surprising to see them featured again, but it's a good time to pick the palettes up if you want. I have the Dreamy 2 palette and the Side by Side palette. I have their latest palette as well, the Read My Mind, which I will be using. Don't know if I'll do a review video on it or anything, but I'll be using it in the coming days. I got it pretty recently and I just haven't had a chance to use it yet. But in general, I do like Nabla's eyeshadow palettes. I will say that I think some of their older palettes might not be very good. Like I had the original Dreamy, did not care for that, and I heard some things about some of their other earlier palettes, but I can at least say for the Dreamy 2 and the Side by Side, those are both very good. The Dreamy 2 does have like 2 pressed glitter, well, not pressed glitter shades, but there's 2 shades that contain plastic glitter. So that's just something to be aware of if you are staying away from that kind of thing. I generally stay away from that kind of thing as well, but they had a really good deal. I think it was like Black Friday a couple of years ago, so I picked it up and I do really like it. But side by side is really, really where it's at for me. If you just want like a nice cool tone, cool leaning neutral palette, or neutral leaning cool palette, it's got a mix of both, more neutral tones, more cool tones, a couple of warmer tones, but overall it leans very neutral and cool. So if that sounds like something that is of interest to you, I would certainly recommend it. There's a mixture of shimmer textures, which I really enjoy, and the matte formula is really, really nice. It's one of those formulas that goes on pretty decently pigmented, but is easy to blend out. I myself am thinking about picking up maybe one or two of the Cuties palettes. Again, they've been featured in the sale quite a few times, and every time I think about it and then I ultimately pass. So I'm thinking about it. Doesn't mean that I will actually go ahead and get them, but they do occupy a little bit of a space in my mind because I don't have any of them, and I think that there are a couple that do have some nice color schemes. So we shall see. Okay, so I decided to do the rest of my face off camera since I was just talking for a while there, but everything that I used will be listed in the description in case you're interested. Some of the main products that I was using in my look today were from the Kaleidos Smoky Nostalgia collection, and I will be doing a video on that collection. But overall, this is how the look turned out. The eyeshadow I really like. The blush, not so much, but we'll talk about that in the video. But basically, yeah, this is the finished look, except for the lipstick, because I had one last recommendation, and that was for the Mented semi-matte lipsticks. I have two of them here, and I will go ahead and swatch both of these so you can see what they look like. These are going to be on sale the same day that the Ulta foundation is going to be on sale, and this first shade here is called Dope Taupe, and the second one that I have is called Mented number 5. And these are basically like a satin lipstick formula, you know. They're pigmented, they go on very smoothly, they're very creamy, they have a nice sort of glossy sheen to them. And what I really like about these in particular, because that's like honestly not a very unique kind of formula, I love the colors that they have. Like these two colors are just so gorgeous and so unique in my opinion. Like Mented number 5 is literally a perfect kind of like mauve-y taupe color for me, and then Dope Taupe, it's interesting because you wouldn't think of this necessarily as a taupe, but I can definitely see where they were going, because this basically has like, it's like they took like a sort of yellow tone brown or like a warmer brown and mixed it in with a grayish or like a taupe color, and then ended up with this. So it ends up looking a lot cooler than I think it is really showing up. But I'll go ahead and swatch both of these. I'm probably going to end up wearing Dope Taupe, but I'll start off with Mented number 5 just so you can see what it looks like. So this is Mented number 5, a really nice sort of grungy kind of color that actually comes off like quite like deep on me, because a lot of times these types of colors, while they've been kind of popular lately, have been a lot lighter, so they don't necessarily work out the same way on me. So I like the fact that this is kind of like one of those deeper cool mauves that actually pulls, you know, a little bit deeper on my complexion. And then lastly we have Dope Taupe. And here is Dope Taupe. I really like this one as well, and hopefully you can kind of see what I mean by like, it looks a lot warmer here and it looks like it will read kind of warm, but when it goes on it definitely reads more cool or like neutral with a very cool lean to it. So I love this shade so much. So if you like, you know, just general creamy satin lipsticks and you're looking for some interesting colors, Mented definitely has those. And I did check their website, Ulta's website that is, and they do have both of these shades. So this is the finished look, and those are my thoughts on the sale. I just thought it was pretty lackluster this time around, and I really think it just has to do with the fact that there's so much skincare that's in the sale when I don't feel like there should be, but maybe that's just me. I feel like, again, I mean, really the only things that really stood out to me were the Bobbi Brown face base and then the Urban Decay foundation. One other thing too, I didn't think about this because again the sale has been going on for a little bit now. The beauty blender was included for the first time, so like, I mean, that I could see as like maybe being kind of sort of exciting, but the beauty blender is like one of those things where it's like, to me it would have been exciting if they'd included it maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, but like now, even at half off, like I don't think that there's really any real reason to buy the Beauty Blender. And I'm saying that as somebody who has used the Beauty Blender before and has moved on to sponges that I enjoy more, that don't cost as much, even at half price. So even that to me was kind of like, nice try, but like we're a little bit late to the party here with this one. And that wraps up my general thoughts on the sale and my very chill, laid back, lukewarm recommendations. Let me know if you are going to be picking up anything from the sale and if you're interested in anything from the sale. As far as picking up anything, maybe if I remember, maybe one of the Cuties palettes, maybe another shade of that MAC Face and Body Foundation. And there is a cleanser that Ulta keeps including in the sale. I refuse to pay full price for it because it's a ridiculous price. But again, it was one of those things where I needed a cleanser at the time. It was included in the sale. I was like, sure, let's try this bougie cleanser out. It is very bougie and I do like it. I would not spend $40 for a cleanser ever, but they keep including it in the sale. Like it's literally been in the sale every time since I first bought it, which I think was back in like September of 2020 when they did that 21 Days of Beauty sale. So, and literally like clockwork, it's like every time it comes around, I'm about to run out of the cleanser. So it just is on time. It's the Indie Lee Brightening Cleanser, in case you're wondering, which again, I don't even know what day that's going to be on sale. I'll have to look into it. So assuming that I remember these things, there might be a couple things I pick up, but generally speaking, not that interested. But that's basically it. Aside from knowing what you are going to be picking up, I'd love to know what your thoughts are on the sale. If you found this video enjoyable and or informative, feel free to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for like content. But either way, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye.